Yo, Dragon, today we're talking with Tyler Greenfield, social media director of the Based Fish Mafia. You ready to talk NFTs, baby?
That's it, man. I'm excited to meet this guy.
NFTs are changing the world, and change can feel complicated and scary. But listen, you don't need a computer science degree. You don't need to learn how to code. You just need practical skills to win.
If you are here, you are in the 1% of humans that are preparing for this major cultural shift. We're going to keep it fun. We're going to keep it light. We're going to make it practical. Welcome to NFTs Made Simple.
Just a reminder, we're not financial advisors. This is not financial advice, and you should do your own research.
Hey, let's get into it.
So Tyler, welcome to the show, brother. It's good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Big fan of the show. Definitely excited to be here.
Yeah, so I guess, you're also a host, right? You host the podcast. It's not Netflix and Chill, right? It's NFTs and Chill. It's kind of...
Yeah, the NFT and Chill podcast.
Is that good for you? Invite someone over and be like, hey, baby, you want to come over and check out some NFTs and chill? Is that the theme?
I wouldn't say that, but it's just more of a fireside kind of chill vibe. That's what we got going on. But also I learning and educating people on Web3 in the space.
Well, I think it's a genius name because, you get the people that do watch TV and the people that don't watch TV, but just Netflix and chill, which is the ultimate pastime. So that's it, folks. The ultimate pastime in the world of NFTs is NFTs and chill. So Tyler, so great to have you here. I know that you're out there, you're relatively fresh start with podcasts, but your podcast is an overnight success. Very, very integrated into the space. I know you were just at NFT.NYC and you're going to be speaking at the Global NFT Summit as well, which I believe is in London, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So
it's in London.
He's an international man of mystery and to everybody, but we're going to make that something that everybody knows. But what I loved about Tyler, Mark and I, one of the things that we like to do for our listeners is we like to get out there and just keep our finger on the pulse of things. It's an interesting time for cryptocurrency, NFT, Web3. So a lot of the flash in the pan people are gone. And so I'm very interested in the people that are just still out there and totally excited and engaged in NFTs and all of these things. And, I noticed, Tyler, if you're out there in Twitter, then we'll make sure you get all of his handles, and on all the socials. Tyler is very, very, very much there. As a matter of fact, they call him the mayor, and we're going to find out what that's about in a second. But yeah, he's very, very, very much in the scene, and he's also doing it from a heart-driven place. So you're going to love this guy. So Tyler, if you could just kick it off and just give us a little background, how where you come from and how you got into this space.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got in about a little over a year and a half ago. I was big into stocks and cryptocurrency for the last few years. And then I got an email from OpenSea and I, kind of signed up, created an account and started checking out kind of the transition from cryptocurrency to NFTs. And I just was kind of doing my research, checking out, seeing which one of my friends and people were also into this. And I found Based Fish Mafia over, I think, in July. And, I really enjoyed the art and the artist and kind of fell in love with the community. And I was like, the community was the biggest thing to me. And how everybody was kind of together from all over the world. And I thought that was pretty awesome. So I want to say about September, I became a moderator for them and then stepped up to the social media management and the community management. And from there, I started doing podcast interviews and just kind of, marketing for them. And somebody told me, you should start your own podcast, which I did in December, NFT and Chill Podcast. And that quickly took off. Right now it's in the top 3%, globally of all podcasts, which is pretty, exciting for a first time podcaster. And then we were nominated for Best NFT Media at NFT.NYC. So yeah, it's kind of been a whirlwind. I'm also a Web3 NFT consultant for GuidePoint Global and a content contributor for WhenDrop.io, as well as a weekly Twitter Space host. Yeah, so a lot going on. that brought me to
Ty,
here.
I have a question here about Twitter Spaces, because I wouldn't say I've fallen in love with Twitter Spaces, but that seems to be the place where the conversations on NFTs are happening. How important do you think it is for you as a social media director for a project to be hosting Twitter Spaces? Should all social media managers, should all NFT projects be hosting Twitter Spaces?
Absolutely. Twitter Spaces is kind of like, I mean, that is one of the biggest ways to get your project out there, to get your story out there, to get your art, like whatever you're doing in the space. Even if you're a collector or someone who wants to have a career in Web3, you should be in Twitter Spaces. You should be building relationships. You should be networking and just, adding to the conversation when you can. Twitter Spaces are huge right now, and they have been for months.
Let me just ask one quick question that I know our listeners are wondering. Just quickly, like little 1-2 minutes. What's the best way for someone that is, they have Twitter, but they don't know they're not in Twitter Spaces, but they want to get in on the NFT scene? What would you say the first step for them to do is? I know this is not about Twitter Spaces, but you're well versed there.
Yeah, so I would say like the best way for someone to get into this space would be to, check out some of these communities, these NFT communities, these projects, whether you like the art, whether you like the team, and please do your research as much as you can. Get to know like who the team is, what the mission of the project is. And I would say, find a project that you enjoy, that maybe you can make your identity, because a lot of people use these NFTs and these PFPs for their digital identity. So if something like, calls to you, maybe buy an NFT that's fairly cheap, get involved with the community, and, then start getting yourself out there on some of these social media like Twitter, and LinkedIn has actually become huge for Web3 in the last like 4 months.
Yeah, I love LinkedIn.
Can I just lean into that a little bit? The LinkedIn piece. Well, actually, before I get into that, I know, Dragon and I were huge in Clubhouse, spending lots of time there in Clubhouse. And to Dragon's point, if you're trying to connect with people on a platform like Twitter Spaces, like Clubhouse, like Fireside, any of these like social audio, here's the trick. And it's really complicated. Get out your pen and paper, your notepad. I'm going to give you the secret sauce right here, everybody. You got to speak.
Yes. Yeah.
That's it. That's the whole plan. Speak. And you could write that down. If you can't remember it, shoot me an email. I got your back. It's called Speak. Get in there and speak. It's that easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Adding to the conversation, and that'll help you gain followers. That'll help you get yourself out there in the space in general.
That's how I met Mark.
That's right. And I think it's important too. That's why, social audio is so powerful for something like this, because, in a world full of PFP pictures and every avatar, you don't actually know who anybody is or what they sound like or what they talk like. You don't know if you vibe, but the second you get on stage and you start chatting, it's like you get that human connection, which is really powerful. Underrated.
Yeah. Building relationships, networking, and just getting yourself out there, whether you're in Discord, adding to the conversation, or especially in Twitter Spaces. That's definitely a big way to get yourself into the space and get yourself involved.
Yeah, what I'm wondering right now is, because Mark and I meet some interesting characters when we're interviewing people in the Web3 environment. I'm just thinking, is this actually a guy named Ty Greenfield, or is this some sort of advanced AI? He's just rendered, this is his avatar, and he's actually a woman in Thailand that's using that voice.
That would be awesome.
So Tyler, let's get into a little bit of the meat of your reality right now.
Yeah.
Because, what's relevant to me is that you're fired up about NFTs to the point where you're going to conventions and, you're speaking, and you started a podcast, and, you seem to be on the same level of excitement that Mark and I are on during a winter, during a time. So that means to me, and this is one of the things that we love to preach, is like, this whole, fad of just buying like images and trying to be cool and flexing and trying to flip and make money. Those people that are gone probably weren't in love with the technology and the shift that's going on right now. So, here you are, like fully engaged, involved in a project that's, financially probably dipped, but still steaming ahead. So what's that like? Because I mean, you started this at a time where things were just nuts, and it's like kids were becoming billionaires. And now here we are in the dead of winter, and all you did was you just put a coat on and you're trudging forward. So speak to that a little bit, because our listeners are very curious to know like what the future is and why we're still so excited about NFTs.
Absolutely. Great question. So right now is when, the market is down. And actually that's usually a great time to do your investing in currencies and certain NFT projects that have a future and you've done extensive research on, and they have a mission going forward. So yeah, I mean, on the investing side of it, I'm, buying as much of that I can when it comes to like Ethereum and Bitcoin. But, in a sense of like Web3 and NFTs, I mean, this is when all the building is, everything that's going on right now during this winter, during this down market is going to set up the next few years of the space. And it's not just PFPs. It's not just the art. I mean, that's definitely what got a lot of people here and got people excited about the space. And collecting will always have a place, but it's the technology, it's the use case of this, proof of ownership, transfer of ownership, this space in general. I mean, when I was at NFT.NYC, I saw so many companies and like Fortune 500 companies that have never done anything in the Web3 space, but they were there trying to figure out, how they can get involved, what they can do with Web3 moving forward. And that's been happening for probably the last year. I was at a party that Coach, like the leather bags, they threw a Web3 party. I was at a Samsung app. I met people from Zigna Games, from Pokemon Go, who have never done anything in the space, but they were there and they were trying to figure out how. So when you listen to people like Kevin O'Leary, and he talks about, NFTs is going to be $100 trillion industry in 5 years, and there's going to be millions of jobs in Web3. That is why I'm here and I'm building, and I'm just going to keep going. And I'm also buying as much Ethereum as I can.
Yeah, Ethereum is definitely way down. And I feel like, Ty, your kind of stance on this is very similar to Dragons and I's stance. I don't know if that came out right, but the future just seems like there's so much potential. I'd love to hear a little bit more about NFT.NYC. What was the coolest project that you saw, or the most innovative idea for NFTs that you saw at NFT.NYC?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. So there's a lot going on with security, because I think that has been the biggest obstacle for new people when they see what's happening with NFTs and Web3 is education. There needs to be much more education, but also security. People need to be safe when they get in the space, and they need to know that it's safe. So I saw some stuff with Secret Protocol that they were building, more safe protocols for, detecting certain things. And, there wasn't a lot of stuff happening. Like, they couldn't give away exactly what was happening, but they were showing you like, about their product as it sits right now. But I think safety is going to take a big leap in the next few months or a year.
Yeah, that brings up a really, really cool insight, because most people right now are trying to navigate like how to get through this potential winter. Is it the right time to invest in all that stuff? But what Tyler just said, it's very important to understand, is that we just went through a learning phase. And what right now we're in this space where we know what worked and we know what didn't, to the point community, utility. And we've been talking about this stuff. And Mark and I always joke, if you go back and listen to our episodes from day one, we actually, not that we predicted it, but we weren't surprised when this downturn happened. We knew it was coming. And I think that this winter perhaps is here to filter out all the bull and just get us lean right into roll up our sleeves in the actual technology and the evolution of what's going on right now. So something like safety, I mean, I got screwed on something. There was a day I called Mark and I'm like, dude, I just bought a World of Women for like 0.3 ETH. And it's like, no way you did, bro. And then all of a sudden it's like, I don't own anything. So all of those things that started happening in like Bored Ape owners like losing their Bored Ape or selling it for like $1, those things created a lot of fear. But, so whole new markets just opened up, people that are going to get rid of that fear. I love that.
Hey, what's up? Mark here. Just want to take you on a quick break with a resource I think is really going to help you. Some of the concepts that we're covering in the show sound really complicated and really technical. But listen, you don't need to code. You don't need to get a master's degree in computer science. All you need to do is have the right resources. We're going to make it simple. We're going to make it easy. I've got a link below. Go to www.nftsmadesimple.com. That's nftsmadesimple.com. You're going to get a free cheat sheet there. It's 100% free. What are you waiting for? Go get the cheat sheet. We're going to break down some of the key definitions in ways that are really practical and really simple. Go to nftsmadesimple.com right now to get your free cheat sheet. That's nftsmadesimple.com. All right, let's get back into the show.
Tyler, I know that I want to get into your heart a little bit because, you're out there speaking and it's not all about technology and money, but there's also, a heart-driven thing behind it. And that's one of the things I love about people like you, and also the technology is there's a lot of meaning behind it. But speak a little bit about, equal rights. And one of the things that you speak on is, equal rights in the NFT space and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I just, when I first got into the space over the summer, I think it was like 80, 90 males in the space, especially in positions of, founders and influential positions. And, I have a lot of friends who are women, and especially in the space now, and some of the best community members that I know and founders in the space are women. And
can I just make a guess that are you a single guy?
I am. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why he has women friends, by the way.
I am. Yeah. But yeah, so, and there was a lot of women who were struggling to, get their projects front and center and be able to come up and voice their opinions. And, I just think that the space should be open because we're creating the space. Like everything that's happening right now is what's creating Web3. All the community stuff that happens is, creating future. So I just think getting as people from all over the world, all walks of life, women, non-binary, whatever, you associate with, the space should be open for all. And, having educational avenues like Surge Women and Albright Media, and, there's a whole bunch more that have come up, and I've definitely seen, more women founders, more female projects, more women speaking in spaces. And I think that is absolutely huge for Web3 and the space moving forward. So I've had a number of female founders on my podcast speaking on this, and I try to do as much as I can for education and for some of these projects, and have in Twitter spaces as well. That's a huge thing because I am very passionate about Web3 in this space, and I think we're creating what the future will look like. We need to learn from our mistakes in Web3 and learn from our mistakes with fiat currency as well.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that I think that is amazing. All of our female listeners just went over and subscribed to NFT and Chill. And I just want you to know, if you are an extraordinary budding leader and you're female in the NFT space, we can have you on our show. You just have to speak to our wives first. To just vet you. So just, we're kind of coming to the end, and I want to give Mark a chance to ask a question. But, what I'm curious to know, and I know that our listeners are as well, is what is your insight for the future of NFTs? I mean, I know, we're not speaking from the same platform as some of our, people that are in it on different levels, that are coding, or they're like big wigs in the space, but you're involved in it. You're making a life out of this. So what do you see coming in the future, and what are you excited about most?
Can I hijack that question just a little bit and go one
Absolutely.
level deeper? I'd like to hear about the context more about the project that you're working on, Based Fish Mafia. Like Dragon is kind of mentioned a few times, we're going through kind of like a tumultuous time for NFTs. How is your project, specifically Based Fish Mafia, handling this downtime? Where's it going in the future?
I mean, that's awesome. The best thing about the project, Based Fish Mafia, is that our community is absolutely incredible, and it has been for, since August. They are extremely passionate about the project. They have given the founders and the team room to create and to get through this market. We do have a animated series coming out. We're about to launch the pilot episode, which it's extremely high quality. There's people from Adult Swim that were involved, so we're excited about that. But the thing of it is, if you have the right community members and if you have built the community organically, so you haven't gone out and used influencers and celebrities and all this other stuff, and the right people have trickled into your project, that helps out not only the project itself, but the team and the founders as well.
Can we go a little bit deeper on that? And I don't want to
Sure.
give you a hard time here, Ty,
No, please.
but every NFT, if you ask anybody, what's the value of your NFT, that's community is always the answer. And Drag and I have talked about this on the show with our audience before. Like, we want to get a level deeper. Community is not enough. Everyone has a community. I like the idea of the animated series. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? As an NFT holder, do you have like some sort of a shared equity in the series, or, where do you see that going? Is it going to be on YouTube? You mentioned it's on Adult Swim, so is it on Comedy Central?
Well, it's not on Adult Swim. They're voice actors, and like people in the production of it are from Adult Swim. So it's very, there was a lot of money put into it, and it should show on the screen. But as far as, what the value of the project and the future of the project moving forward is, you have to create a brand. Like, the NFT itself and the art, unless you are like an artist, it's one-on-ones and all that, the art is definitely not enough. So creating a brand out of, the culture of what you have going on in that project. We have the animated series. The artist and founder have been creating this story since the project dropped last August, and that story is going to show up in this animated series. And from that, there will be, merchandise, and we're hoping to create a brand, and, the holders will benefit from that.
Yeah, see, that's a great question. Good hijack, because that's what people need to understand, and that was it's perfect for this idea. Like, you see this, and if you go look at Based Fish Mafia, it's super cool. It's got a great vibe, and you can see that there's a lot of people like Tyler there. They support one another, strong. But at the same time, let's be honest, people also get involved, not just for the community. I mean, there's a lot of communities that also want to benefit, and that's one of the benefits of being an NFT holder. So I like the idea of looking at a project that is going to the next level. Gary Vee is a great example of that. So when you see someone like Based Fish Mafia creating this cartoon and also collaborating with somebody else, that's the kind of thing that people should be looking for. Because in this time right now, you make some smart decisions right now, because it's a very good time to buy if you buy the right thing and get involved in the right community. So I love the idea of a community right now, and I'm definitely going to look a little deeper into that one. I love a community that during a winter is showing signs that they're getting ready for something big. So awesome.
Absolutely.
Mark, any last question?
Well, I will say I'm looking at the project on OpenSea, and it's very accessible too. I mean, you can get in at 0.05 floor-ish, which is pretty accessible, if you don't have tons of ETH to throw around. I do have one more question for you here, Tyler, real quick. As the social media manager, as the community manager for the project, do you feel like, what do you think it's important for you to do as a social media manager? How do you feel like, as the social media manager for an NFT project like Based Fish Mafia, what is it important? What are you trying to get across? What are you trying to do with social media? You mentioned LinkedIn. Are you going hard there? Is it just Twitter Spaces? Like, how do you see social media in this space?
Well, social media in this space is extremely important. It is you have to get the engagement, awareness. You have to convey the mission of the project, the story, what the project is trying to do. But the biggest thing is getting the project out there and getting people to see and understand what you are doing. And you do that with engagement and figuring out what's the best time of day to post and what is the best day to post more important stuff, and scheduling a Twitter space at the right time, so not only your hold can get involved, but people who aren't holding your NFT can get involved. And as from the community manager, it's just answering questions that people have, especially new people coming in, or new holders coming in. That's a big part of it. Keeping the community engaged and active is another big thing for a community manager, for sure. And if you can, if you want to go above and beyond, because you also have a stake in it as well, marketing the project on your personal social media.
When are you hosting your Twitter Spaces?
So every Wednesday, which is today, at 10 p.m. Eastern, I personally, with two other people from the space, host Blockchain After Dark, and it's kind of a little spin-off of the NFT and Chill podcast. But and what we do is we bring a project or someone on, and they kind of talk about the project and the mission and utility, and we start rapid fire questions at them. And if they're not prepared, they could get thrashed. Basically, because we don't just sit up there and say, hey, you're doing great, here are your flowers. It's basically very to the point, and we're going to tell you the honest truth. And there's a bunch of us who come up in there every time, and we're really trying to help. Like, we don't want a project, because I see it all the time in Twitter Spaces. A project will talk about what they have going on. People will tell them it's awesome, and then they'll drop their project and they'll wonder why nobody came. So we try and give you the hard truth. So it's a fun show, but yeah.
I like that. I've definitely been in Twitter Spaces where it's just a group of 5 to 10 people all giving each other back massages, and it's like,
exactly.
I like
the opposite. We've had
some
little
people get Simon Cowell.
Yeah, exactly. We've definitely have some people get ran out the building. So
nice.
It's fun.
That's awesome. Well, listen, man, check out NFT and Chill, Tease and Chill, I think it is, right?
It's the NFT and Chill podcast. It's available on all forums.
Yeah. You can go get that environment there. Check them out on Twitter Spaces. What is your Twitter handle? We'll put it in
Maverick Media 15, or if you type in the mayor, you'll find me for sure.
Right. Well, just quickly, what's the mayor?
Okay, the mayor, I don't know. People have always said I should be a politician, but also my Hebrew name is mayor. So it kind of went hand in hand.
That's right. Well, man, so awesome to have you in our environment. We definitely love to promote and support everybody else that is as passionate as us. So, go check Tyler out, check out his handles, go subscribe, rate and review his podcast. We're gonna always be better together through this thing. And thanks so much for being on the show, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. This was a true pleasure, and everyone out there listening, reviews help shows tremendously. So give these guys a great review.
Nice.
Thanks, Tyler.
All right, we'll see you next time.